back. Hopefully you enjoyed the last video. Got another little job to do today, and we're back on aim. So what we're going to do is we're going to fit one of these. Yes, these dash cams. Yeah, just recently I've realised how many morons are on the road, and yeah, it's becoming more and more evident that in the event of an insurance claim, you need a little bit of help, and the insurance companies are very keen to just do a 50-50 now for quickness and speed. But obviously, when it isn't your fault, yeah, it becomes a bit of a battle. So we're going to select one of these and hopefully get it fitted to the car. Now, you might think, well, that's dead easy. You just plug the bloody thing in, stick it on your windscreen, and jobs are good and well. I want to make it a bit neater than that. So this is going to be a sort of a permanent installation. And yeah, I don't want the great big bulbous power Siggy socket thing sticking out constantly with cables everywhere. So we need to do a better job of it. So that's what we're going to do. Aye, there you go. Look at that. 25 quid. That's what we're going to be saving. Got to be worth it. Here we are. Is a selection of wonderful dashcam devices. Where I've got them from, God knows, Christmas presents, birthdays, that type of thing. Why have I got three? Well, yeah, I've got three cars. I'll work my way through each one, I think. But the most important one, as I say, is getting one in there. Okay, so, well, which one do I pick? Well, I think this one's the better one. I'm keen to sort of try that one. Obviously, it does 1080p, full HD, whereas this one's 720. This one, let's have a look on there. Oh, that's 1080p. That looks like a good old Chinese version of it. I might go through these at some point and just, show you some of the differences, when I'm fitting into different cars. But ultimately, I think I'm going to save this one for my daily commuter, which is a little Fiat 500 at the moment. This is the daughter's car. She's learned to drive in it, but I'm using it to and from work. But I think this will be the better one overall for every day. I think for the 5, this is the one I'm going to go for. I think this is perfectly adequate for what I need. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be brilliant quality, just good enough. So I think as we're unboxing it, we've got looks like USB cable. That's the camera itself. Oh, there's a memory card there, and that's the sucky thing, leaky sucky on the windscreen. And this is the offending article I want to do something with. Now, obviously, you can imagine you've just got to plug that into your Seeger light. I mean, what bloody new cars have these Seeger lighters today? I don't know. I thought they did away with them, but obviously they must still have them because they're still a current model of dash cam. But ultimately, what I think I'll do is I'm going to chop this end off, and I'm going to hardwire this into the back of the existing cigarette light actually in the car. Then I can run this all the way up the windscreen and and plug it in nice and neat. So we'll do a better job of it. Okay, we'll have a look in the car, see what we need to do, and you'll see the problem straight away when we get in here. So on the 5s, that's where the Seeger lighter is. Now imagine this just horrendous contraption sticking out there, and then this all hanging out. I mean, it's not going to work, is it? It's not a good idea. So I think the idea is I'm going to strip this out, find appropriate connections, I'll fuse it, and then what I'll do is I'll try and fish this all the way around through back of the dash, probably up there, and then take it along there. And then what we'll do is we'll just tuck the camera in somewhere behind there. Okay, so let's get to it. Some tools. That's hopefully all we need. But I think first things first, when I'm looking at this, it is here, which we talked about. That's like the springy end bit that sits actually in there and contacts on the bottom there, and that's a contact. So basically, one of these is positive, one of these is negative or ground. But what I want to do is I want to try and open this up. If I can open this up, then I can hopefully expose sort of where these connect to these contacts. Now, if I'm unlucky, there may be some form of like little PCB or like a voltage regulator or something in here, which we might have to keep because it might be detrimental to how the actual how the camera works. But essentially, I think there's a fuse in here as well. So what we're going to do is, I think you just unscrew that. You can see there. I think it's a little. Need my glasses, but I think it's 2 amp. So we're just going to put that to one side, and what we'll have to do is we'll have to put an inline fuse in there. So you unscrew that bit there, and then see this little sort of collar on there as well. I think we'll just take that off. And what that then does is allow this bit here. You can see how it's starting to just prise apart there. Now, what I'm going to try and do is try and break that, maybe a little bit of glue or some sort of retainer in here, and then we'll crack it open and see what we can get out of it. Hopefully it might be dead easy, but anyway, I'll get the knife, a little knife here. We'll just try and cut that sticker without chopping a limb off. Getting old, so it's much more difficult these days. Okay, we might have to get this screw. Oh, you see how it's pulled it right. Here we go. As I thought, see what's in there? Little capacitor LED, some sort of thing there. I'm not an electronics expert. There's another capacitor there. So what we might have to do is just try and keep hold of these gubbins somehow, hide it in the dash somewhere. But essentially, I think if we just break that open there. Yeah. So there's a connector there. Now that's the ground element. You saw that black wire there. So obviously that then connects to the outside of the existing cigarette lighter, and creates a ground point. So I think what we can do is just take that out there. We've got that little PCB, a little spring. He's all right there. Now, I'm hoping if we can get this board out. Probably glued in. But essentially, there's the two wires that we're sort of interested in. So that one obviously goes to the board. That's the ground. And I assume if I use the multimeter, I'll be able to sort of check that connection on that spring is what makes the positive contact within the actual cigarette lighter or the power. So yeah, so we'll have to keep all of this, which is fine. But we might have to take it off the board initially just so I can feed this cable potentially down and around, behind the dash. Otherwise it's going to get snagged. Okay, so I'll see if I can get this disassembled a bit more. Just on there as well, you might just be able to see, probably not, but these terminals are marked up as well, V minus and V plus. Okay, so what we'll do is we're just going to get a pair of snips now. This seems brutal, but what we'll do is we'll just chop that. Gone, and we'll keep that, and then that will be reinstated. And what we'll do is we'll resolder some new connections, or these connections back onto here when we're in the car. What we need to do is we need to, as I said before, get this end of the cable. We need to get it down there somewhere, and then underneath, around the dash, back of the dash, up, and then back of the ashtray cigarette lighter. So what we might have to do is we might have to just whip out that panel underneath there, just to allow enough room so we can snake the the cable through. So yeah, so I think I'll just take this out here. Very easy. Yeah, you can see there the cable's coming through here now. So hopefully, if we can just snake that down there, and then hopefully down the back of the dash. It's a great thing about Renault 5s. Definitely wouldn't make boats because there's plenty of gaps everywhere. Make stuff through. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to feed that in there. See if I can get it out the bottom somehow. Right, so the fuse panel's off there now, and what I've done is I've managed to get that cable down through there, and then it's hanging out the bottom here. So next challenge is just to get it across to there, but what I'll do is I'll just feed it all the way into the position I want, so I know I've got the right length to there, and then any excess we might be able to just chop off at the end. So I'll get the ashtray out, see where we go from there. So you can see now this is nice and easy because I can just tuck the cable hard one-handed just where the headlining, roof lining is. Might get a bit tricky. Yeah, and then what I'll do is I'll just feed it all down the inside of the interior trim panel and then pull through what I need, and then you can see there, so bottom pan's off, ashtray's out, and then all we need to do is just get it in that back of that hole, and then we can make some connections actually into the back of the, you can see the connector there where the yellow cable is, yellow wire, yellow and black, yeah, and so we should be able to take some connections from that. Okay, I'll show you what we've got. So you can see here I've put the fuse panel back on underneath. That's our cable here, and now I just need to fish out that connector at the back of this ashtray. We'll chop this back, and then I think it'll be ready for us to go and do some soldering on the little PCB. We'll look to probably pop that in there. Plugs out, and what we now need to do is we just need to test this, obviously using the multimeter. So this obviously comes on the ignition, so it's not permanent live, which to be fair is what we want, because that's how it would operate, you know, for the dash cam. So what we'll do is we'll just flick the ignition on and flick the multimeter on. Now this is probably a bit hard, I mean, I'm assuming, as a good guess, black is going to be negative, and I'm not going to be able to do it. See if I can put you there. Yeah. Hopefully you'll be able to see roughly what I'm doing. Just move the multimeter there, you can just about see it. So shove that in there, and that in there, and we should have, well, it should be 12 volts, 11.5 volts. So I know that that's given power. So obviously if I turn the ignition off, do the same again, so there's nothing on the multimeter. Okay, so what we'll need to do is we'll need to make some joins in that yellow and black wires. Back at the bench, I thought we'd prepare this now. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to desolder these two wires here, and then they'll be ready to be resoldered back to our cable that's actually in the car. I'm going to extend two wires on here, so I'm going to put a negative on this bit here, so I'm going to desolder this connector and remove the spring as well, and then just make the two new wired points there and there, two new connections on there with a couple of bits of new wire, and hopefully that should then be ready to be connected to the back of the cigarette lighter. Anybody's ever seen one of these? It's a solder sucker. Basically, heat up the solder point, and then you push this over the end and you suck the solder out. Not quite. It's very awkward because this doesn't sit very flat. I could probably do with a stand. That's it. It's getting there. Yeah, so you can see there now it's gone flat. So I'll just plop another bit of solder on there. The bit of the original cabling is just there. I think we'll make the connection on the back. Yeah. And what we'll do is we'll just encourage this red wire out. I think we'll snip that off. We'll snip that off and then we'll blob the solder on there. So I'll just chuck a little bit of new solder on. So you can see I'm just going to just use the vise just to hold it. That's it. Some new solder on. One blob. Two blobs. So there you can see there now. Let's use this to point. That one there and that one there. So that's the negative and that's the positive. What we'll do is they're ready obviously for the connection to the wiring in the car. We'll chop this off and then we'll extend this cable and this cable on this spring. And so what we'll do is we'll just chop the spring off. Actually no, I'll probably desolder that, might be easier. That's it. So that's the spring out. Just there, there's a nice little hole. So we'll chuck a new wire in there for the positive. And now all we've got to do is just desolder this negative. Done. So I use the solder sucker just to get this up there. Clean this hole if I can. Which I think hopefully we have. Try not to bridge anything else. Which can happen. I think that'll do. Okay, so then we've got, that's the negative point, that's the positive. Okay, let's get some wiring. You'll see here, I'm just going to strip these cables. That's one, and that's two. Give them a bit of a twist. We'll choose the colours in a moment. If you ever need to strip wires for a living, get a set of these. Brilliant. Okay. So now what we need to do is, you remember, we want to make connection to that top hole there and a connection to that one there. We see, it just says V minus. I don't think you can probably see that. The camera's not picking it up. But that one there's V minus. Okay. I'm going to go for the reddy, browny, stripy one. I'm going to say that's the positive. And if I'm lucky, I might be able to just squeeze it through. No, I'm not. I don't want to be able to squeeze it through there. What I might end up doing is just gluing some solder on and then just tacking it on. That's what I'm going to do. Tin the wire first. And while I'm here, I may as well tin the other one as well. Chop it back a bit. Could probably do using some flux. That's it, so he's tinned up. And he's tinned up. So we said the reddy brown, I think that's brown. Yeah, we'll use that as positive. So I'm just going to tack these on now. Okay, that's him on. And I'm going to go V minus on the back side of it here, because there's more space. If I cut this first. It's very small, my hands not the steadiest. No, it's not taking that side. Give it a go on the other. Just going to grab a bit of flux and drop that on. All you electronics wizards out there will know what this is. That's good stuff, this. Liquid flux. a bit more success. I will try back on the reverse side of the board again with the flux, because I've got more space there and I don't want to bridge some of the other joints. It's just there. Got it. Bit of solder snot there. Okay, so now I just need to get this other wire tacked onto there, and I'll show you what I've done. Perfect. Right. There you can see. So that's going to be the positive. That's going to be the negative. What we'll do is I'm just going to get the meter and set it to continuity. Now I know we won't get anything out of this. In fact, if I just check that, we won't get anything out of the positive side or through the board. But this one here is the negative. So the ready green is going to be the negative. So now if I just check continuity, at least on one of them, let me meter to work. There you go. So it's so V minus there. So I'll just touch him and then just touch there. Oh, yeah, we've got it, and then just touch on the end of the wire. There you go. Perfect. For the avoidance of doubt though, I will just check this negative, this positive. Now, okay. But I'm sure once this board gets power, things open up and then the current starts to flow through these components, charging of the capacitors, the LED light should come on. I mean, in all honesty, we could probably test that somehow. In fact, why don't we do that now? Is that a good idea? We could bench test it, couldn't we? Yeah, let's do that, just out of curiosity. Right, you'll see here, I've got bench power supply. So what we'll do is, we'll get this fired up. You can see now, these are always really handy for just testing sort of various voltages and ampage. I think this one goes up to sort of 30 volts and does 10 amps maximum. Obviously that's going to be far too much for this, so I've just got the instruction manual here, and what I'm looking for is sort of voltage and current, power requirements or product specifications. See there? So power requirements, it only needs 5 volts and then 200 milliamps, so it's very, very minimal. Obviously the power supply that comes with it is 12 to 24 volts DC. Car power gets supplied and there's a 20mm glass fast float, so 2 amps. So, but what we'll need to do is we need to set this bench test now down to something really, really low. So what we can do is, well, you can see there it's set on 11 volts, but what we can do is we can adjust this. So adjust this down to 5 volts. Yeah, so there's 5 volts. And amps wise, so what we need to do is just need to clamp these together like so. Oh. You can see there that's 0.24 amps or milliamps. So I can drop this down now. There's 2 settings and there's a coarse and a fine. So we can set this down to fine. There, that'll do. Spot on. what we don't want to do is we just don't want to blow this little board. So yeah, right, so let's give it a go. So essentially what I need to do is then just put the positive to the positive, negative to the negative, and hopefully that little red LED should come on. I'll then measure these two outputs here, V plus V minus. So let's give it a go. So what we'll do, positive first, so drop him on, so we said it was this reddy brown one, so clamp him on there. Cool. Right, it's either going to go bang in a puff of smoke, or we should get a little red LED on. Let's see it. I'll just tap it first just to see. Right, well, there's no red LED on, which is worrying. So now we're just going to test using the multimeter, see if we've got any output. Which I don't think we will. Oh, it's doing something. I thought it was. No. Test to make sure it's going in. Which it's not. It's very difficult to get a decent connection. No, we're not. So I'm wondering if, yeah, it's not drawing anything. Obviously, there's nothing coming through. I'm wondering if I should just drop that up to put some more voltage through it. Let's see. So just this on here. This here, the LEDs come on there now. And so obviously this didn't have enough voltage pushing through it. So, fingers crossed now, if I just check on these two outputs. There. 4.92. So if I just increase that voltage ever so slightly a bit more. Very sensitive this, so I'll just, yeah, very careful. Hopefully you can see the little LED there. .2 volts. Perfect. So we know now that that works, the connections work. So when we apply the power from the car, that LED light should come on, and then now all we've got to do is just attach the other side of the cable to them two there, and Bob's your aunties. Hopefully we should have power to the device. Okay. Back in the car. So if we, I think we're getting very close now. So back at the cigarette lighter, what we need to do is we need to get these two cut so we can then make the connection. And if you remember our little PCB, we've got power in, which is the top two, and the power out, which is the bottom two, which will then connect onto this cable here. So I think what I'll do is I'll make some connections in there now, and I've actually got these things as well. These local Lidl had them in, so I'll give them a try. Why not? I normally solder stuff. Not normally a great fan of them. You can see them in this bloody crimp connectors has been in force in here in the past, and I'm not going to disturb any of them for now. But I'm going to give this Black Magic a bit of a go here. And apparently, I suppose you're supposed to just put your wires in either end and just give it some hot gun treatment. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But okay, I'm going to make them snips there and get it all set up. That's the wires stripped, you can see there. So we've got ones here. That's obviously One's power to the feed to the camera. We've got power, positive, that's ground, and then we've got obviously the other side of the switch there as well, which we're going to need to make the connections back up. So we're going to join all of these together. And yeah, like I said, I've got these wizards things, solder connectors. Just looking at which ones, I think probably going to be that one there. Yeah, it's about the right size. Yeah, so I'll get them all set up, and then we'll get the hot air gun on them and see how good these things are. I'm not convinced, but yeah, they seem to be all over Amazon and sold all over the place, so there must be an easy way to make solder connections. Before I do the connections actually in the car, I've got this. That's an inline fuse. Now, if you remember, actually on this torpedo thing, the actual connector that goes into the cigarette lighter, if you remember, there was a pushy any bit thing in there, but there was a fuse in there, a little glass fuse, which is that. Yeah. So what the idea of this is we can just separate that out there, drop him in there, put that onto there, like that, and then that then becomes an external fuse holder. And what we'll do is we'll get them ends stripped, and if you recall, they went onto the output wire. So I'm going to solder that in line there, and then that then becomes the positive feed connection to the cable that's actually in the car, and then that means that this little PCB and the dash cam itself is fused. Okay, so we'll get this stripped off, and then I think what I'll do is I'll just solder that together with some heat shrink. I've decided to tidy all of this up. Yes, I could hear you all saying, "What's he done? Get that mess tidied up," and I think you're absolutely right. You know, when you look at it. So what I've done is I've stripped back all these wires. Obviously, there's all the grounds. I'll do the same for them. I'll take that out. That's obviously going to the camera. And if you remember, this is the connector to the back of the ashtray cigarette lighter. I mean, you can see what we're having to deal with there when I uncovered all the tape, the insulating tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean that up. I'm going to then graft on some extra wires onto here, and I'll use these special wizard solder connectors basically to tidy it all up. And I think I'll be much happier with that. See there now. So I've just prepared that connector, positive and negative wiring to the back of it. Okay, you can see here this is looking a lot better. So just to explain what I've done, this is the PCB, if you remember, the little voltage rectifier or reducer, because you know what happens is when you plug this into your cigarette lighter, it's 12 volts, and then obviously, as we found out in the instructions, the dash cam runs and operates on 5 volts DC, so obviously it steps down. It's a step down transformer. We obviously have to need to keep all of this, so I've just put it back into the torpedo thing, that connector that goes into the actual cigarette lighter, and I'm just going to tuck that behind the dash. But what we've done is we've brought the fuse outwards in line, and we can get to that in the future without too much trouble. Just behind the ashtray. It only takes a couple of minutes to withdraw that. What I've done is, well, if you can recall, that's the input side there. These are the two wires coming outboard, and then that's the cable that goes up towards the dash cam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hot air gun these things and see what they actually like, because I'm yet convinced that they actually work as good as doing normal hand soldering, the good old traditional fashionable way. But we'll see. Well, I've just done one there. I mean, I'm yet convinced. I can't see anything melting, but let's give this other one a go. Just using that, you can see it's starting to melt. Well, at least the heat shrink element is. But I assume, well, I think that should be it really. Proof of the puddings in the eating, as this here. Yeah, I think you can see there that some of the solder has melted. And it's well protected, so... Yeah, okay, well, next thing's to get the rest of them done. So I've already sort of started wrapping these, well, tidying these and wrapping these up. You can see here now, I mean, it's a bit Heath Robinson, it's not ideal, but it's a lot better than what it was. You can see everything's much tidier, you know, there's not as many connections, you know, and to be fair, you know, for a 40-year-old car, the wiring, you know, in this car isn't too bad. So we'll get this, we'll get these other solder connectors put together, and then the connection connected to the back of the cigarette lighter, and let's see where we'll go from there, and hopefully we can test it. I think we're done. So yeah, I've given them a go. You can see the solder's actually melted there, and all the bunch of wires is inside. It looks like it's all protected, and heat shrink is pretty robust, to be fair. As you see, you can see here we've got our main supply going up, and we've got our connector now to the back of the cigarette lighter. What I think I'll do is I just want to test before I plug anything in. Let's just test if we've got voltage here. Yeah, just to make sure. So I'll just turn the car on. Mobiliser off. Okay, well, that's a good sign. Fuel pump's on, and trying to do this one-handed is going to be tricky. Just put the multimeter down there. I just needed to see if I can get it to flick on. Just there you go. There you can see 11.68 volts to the back of the connector. Okay, and I think the next thing to do is probably plug in the dash cam. Okay, dash cam's here. Fingers crossed. So there's our connector up there. So I'm just going to shove it in, and if it comes on, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so we know that's all working. We know we've got voltage there, so I can plug all that back in. I can get all this wrapped up neatly into the back of there. Then we'll shove him on the screen. All nice and tidy, as you can see there now. I can light up a Berkeley king size if I need to, without having this thing stuck in there. I've mounted this nice and neatly behind the rear view mirror. Obviously, I've just moved the rear view mirror so we can see. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it on now, and hopefully, oh, there's a green light on, which is perfect. Don't think it auto comes on, so I think what we'll do, there's just a button there, and the red lights come on, and hopefully, there, we can see it's on. And that should give us a reasonable position, clear view of the road, and it looks like it's actually, yeah, memory card's in. I'll need to do something with the date, but yeah, that's it. And as I say, we're now nice and neat, and I think you'll admit that's much better, isn't it? Okay, that wraps this one up. Hope you've enjoyed watching me do that. Yeah, I mean, some of you might say, "Oh, why don't you just go and buy the hardwire kit from Nextbase?" Well, yes, you can. You can buy one. The 25 quid, and essentially it's just that gubbins, the little PCB bit that's just in a little black box and a load of wiring with external fuse. So I've saved 25 quid, which I didn't think was bad. So hopefully, yeah, if you've liked this, please like, subscribe. I've got more videos coming. What I intend to do is, you've asked, all about this car, and I haven't actually explained anything about it. So I think in the next video, what we'll do is a bit of a walk around, and I'll do a bit of a drive out as well, and some other interesting stuff as well. So yeah, please like, subscribe, click whatever. I don't know what you do these days, but click everything that needs to be clicked on YouTube, and yeah, I'll see you for the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.